All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad Roltkin here with the Fresno Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies investors group. Today we're doing a little update on centralized exchanges. We kind of like to do this every once in a while because some come, some go, some change their policies, some stop supporting U.S. customers. So we kind of like just to talk about the current. Um, exchanges that are out there and ones that maybe some of us aren't aware of or, know about, and maybe it's a better one than what we're using as far as lower fees, offering more coins and that kind of thing. One thing I've noticed lately is it seems like some of these, when they launch, they come out as apps as opposed to just websites. As far as I know, crypto.com, which obviously has been out forever, is still just an app for US users. I guess in Europe they can use the website. Why we can't use a website over here, I don't quite understand, but it is what it is. Another one that I ran across lately was CoinZoom, which came out as an app. They actually have a website now, and I came across it because I was looking for an exchange that supported a new coin, which I don't remember which one that was now, but then I ran across it again when uh, I was looking for a coin or a token called JBBL that a kind of an influencer is pushing, and it's maybe has something to do with another big project or something. So I found it there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's maybe that's CoinZoom's little niche is to have these new coins when they first launch, that kind of thing. So let me kind of pass it around and see what you guys are currently using. But I'll kind of rattle off what I'm currently using, and you guys can compare notes, and we'll see where we go. Currently, my main exchange is Kraken. Um, I've got it tied in with my, what is it called? EasyBot, uh, trading, trading bot. But I also use it for just, I would say 90% of everything I do as far as, buying Bitcoin, moving it over to, um, a cold storage wallet or that kind of thing. Once in a while, I'll use Coinbase. I know I use have a third bank account that I moved some funds over into crypto from, and Kraken won't let me add another bank account. So I've ended up using Coinbase from that other bank account. But I don't do too much there. I guess I have a phobia or in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that Coinbase is still expensive as far as fees and that kind of thing. So I try to use the other ones. Um,
Yeah.
and those are my main. Once in a while, I'll use um, crypto.com. I have a debit card there. I don't use that much anymore since I'm getting most of my rewards through Gemini. And that exchange, I pretty much use that for the credit card. And then I'm still using River for the every couple weeks, when I get my paycheck, automatically, um, purchase some Bitcoin, that kind of thing there. So those are the main ones that I use. Let's welcome Charles. Good to have you here. Can you hear us okay? Make sure that he's jumping in here.
I might be muted.
It looks like he is
Yeah.
muted.
Hey, Brad, everyone. Still
Hey.
getting my monitors on and everything. Came up on a different window. I may be in and out. I've got a customer potentially in a little while, but yeah,
No
always have.
problem.
Yeah, I'm not too much into the crypto space. I will admit, I'm here just kind of hear what the discussion where your ideas and insights are going with the space. But I'm not currently vested in crypto and haven't been really much ever. So
Okay.
kind of just a real beginner at all that. The tech side I'm a little more familiar with, somewhat, very little, but I've never been an actual user of the crypto space yet.
Oh, okay. Well, this is kind
Yeah.
of a good topic as far as the centralized exchanges,
Hmm.
because that's where, all of us start,
Yep.
transferring over $100, $500 from our bank account and then buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever,
Yep.
that type of thing.
And then
So,
buying a pizza with it. Yeah.
yeah. Or two or three.
Yep.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Well, and then we have the Google Doc that will be putting info and links and stuff in. And so that the link to that is in the description or the event
Okay.
page. So you can link over to that. Um,
Okay. Thank you. And
so
there's
good.
somebody that was going to call, but
Oh, go for
hello
it.
to everyone, and I'm sorry to derail the discussion.
No problem. No, no, that's why we're all here.
I'll be here.
It's all about everybody who's here.
Yep.
And welcome
Okay.
to Ahmed. Good to have you here
Thank you, guys.
with us again. Let's see. So let me just catch up with I'm gonna make some notes here for me. Um, yeah. So, Tim, why don't you jump in and what exchanges are you using, or any thought on any current ones or new ones or ones that have gone away that maybe we don't realize? Sometimes they go away quietly as opposed to the FTX fiasco.
No, just yeah, I never got caught in that. I thought they were fraud on the first time I saw them, and no, it only took like a year or so to watch myself get proven correct. Um, Started on Coinbase. Last one was Kraken that I'm using just kind of for staking everything. I had everything in cold wallets until I just realized that, they didn't have an added with through Tangem, you don't have good staking rewards. And, and
Good staking rewards or rewards at all?
due to yes, to both.
Okay.
Um they're definitely limited there. The ones that they do pay out, they don't pay out that much. And it was kind of like, well, the old theory, have your money working for you. And crypto doesn't seem to be doing anything other than eating my money at this point. And, it's, we all got into it to, you know, avoid the loss of a fiat and uh, loss have of uh, so it's quite always a bizarre experience,
Yeah, Tim, you're
and that's
Zoom.
just
Can you hear me for a second? Tim,
yeah.
Zoom is telling me that your network bandwidth is low. I don't know if you can turn off your video. All we're seeing is a black box, which is fine, but your audio is cutting out there.
That's
Um,
all I'm showing.
okay, can you
Uh,
turn off your
Hold
video?
on, it is off
Okay, maybe that's why it's just black, but
here. Uh, what I'm a disconnect and reconnect on a different network.
okay, okay, yeah, maybe that'll work better. Cool. Okay, Michael, you want to jump in and share what exchanges you're using?
Uh, I I just use Coinbase. I haven't. I'm signed up with Kraken, and there was something long ago. I mean, there were some other early ones that I think I signed up with in 2017, 2018, but I haven't done anything with them in, 10 years almost. So I just use Coinbase primarily because it's easy and they allow me to borrow against my Bitcoin, which I've done once um, for some work. I needed 50,000, and so I borrowed that for like 70, 75 days, and it was really easy to do, and it was pretty cost effective for the time. So
Okay.
that's primarily why I use Coinbase.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, good to share on the borrowing aspect. I know the SALT token was original kind of the trendsetter in borrowing against crypto. But just because they were first didn't mean that they're the best or even lasted. So I knew once when I saw the centralized exchanges that were already established, once they started doing that, it's like, oh, these other one-off projects, what chance do we have or do they have to make a run in that market? Because it was a lot easier just to, flip a switch or something in our Coinbase account than move the funds to somewhere else with Salt and buy Salt tokens to pay back the loan or whatever. So it's kind of too bad, but I don't know, maybe they're still around, but definitely good to hear on Coinbase as far as that goes. Was there a minimum or a maximum time period that they would loan or like any certain criteria like that?
No, it was primarily based upon percentage, like loan to value, and uh, that was really about it. They didn't. I don't remember there being any time frame. I had I had like some large projects that I needed to finance, and uh, so I utilized that. It was really easy to do. They did do it in USDC, so you have to take it in USDC and then convert that to cash. And then I took the cash out and paid for the projects. And then in January, when the projects were paid, um, I just deposited I think it cost me about 800 bucks, give or take. There was an interest rate, which I can't remember what it was. It wasn't that high, but it cost me, I think, around 8 or 8.25. And so I put it back in cash, converted that to USDC, made the payment, and then it said, okay, this is what the balance is. So I paid that, and then that was that.
Got
So
it.
pretty easy.
Cool, cool. And the loan to value, they're doing like 70, 75% in that range?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Although you could go, um, it could, I didn't have any issue with that, but I think you could go lower, but it just gets a little scary if it gets too low, right? It would get a little scary
Right.
because
Right.
imagine if I had borrowed that in January and then it was going to pay it back in March. You know, Bitcoin's gone down quite a bit in that time, so that loan to value thing would be a little scary. Could be
Right.
a little scary.
And if all of a sudden they called 50% of it due or whatever and
Absolutely.
put you in a jam or something. Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
So we might only ever want to use 30%, of the value kind of thing just to be safe there. Because obviously that normally when you put up property or a house, it's not going to change that quickly, for you to do a loan for a couple months or even 5 years. But in the crypto world, that's not the case.
Yeah, it was a little challenging, but you know, I was fine. I never got anywhere close. But the thing is that when you have an asset that, like you said, fluctuates as much as it does, that's the weird thing that's always kind of bugged me about Bitcoin is that if you pay for something now, um, if you pay for it now, let's say you took half a Bitcoin, you paid somebody, and it would be maybe like 33,000. I don't know, what is Bitcoin today? 65,
Yeah,
whatever,
close enough. Uh-huh.
64. So if I paid you with half a Bitcoin, I paid you 33,000 because that's what I owed you. And then, 6 months from now, it's at 95,000. Well, now I've paid you, I don't know, 45,000 or something like that. So that's the part that's a little weird. You pay somebody in a US dollar and they're not getting more down the road with the US dollar. The US dollar is not appreciating. Bitcoin can.
But it also can go the other way as
No,
well.
I understand that. And
You know,
if I paid you a half a Bitcoin in October last year, or you had paid me, that's 60,000 and now that's worth, 32,000. Yeah, that's going to go the other way. I get that, but
yeah, or it could
I
two
always
X.
think positive.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it could also go up in value, and then if I'm looking at it, hey, I got 33,000 for the job I did on your kitchen remodel or whatever, but now I actually have 65 in the value is 65. But we could do that all day long. And the other thing too is that money that's sitting in a bank account, we could either buy Bitcoin with it or another coin or not. And that's the same thing, so we just have to do the best we can each week, each day,
Sure.
far as that
Well,
goes.
this year and last year, most uh most of my focus has been on the stock market and not on the Bitcoin market. Because for me, Bitcoin is long term. And by the way, from the last time that we met, I'm 90% sure I'm just going to continue to hold. I'm not as enthusiastic as I was before. Obviously, it's half the price it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to hold. I'm just going to leave it alone as an
Okay.
asset, like a painting.
Right.
It'll appreciate down the road.
Yeah, you're not looking to trade it every 6 months or that kind of play that game and pay the taxes or get some losses to write off against something else. So,
It's funny you mentioned about that paying taxes. It did occur to me to sell it now, pay the taxes that I owe, and then buy it back at this rate so that my cost basis would be 65,000 instead of 17,000. So that's my cost basis now on the Bitcoins that I own is about 17,000. So,
yeah.
y- you
Yeah,
know,
and over half the people that are holding are underwater as the last stat that I saw. So in that
yep.
sense, they might want to sell, take a little bit of a loss and offset maybe some of their gains in Nvidia or whatever, and then,
Or
buy
Micron.
buy the crypto back, yeah, and then move forward. So yeah, it just depends on where you're at. But
I'm just going to let it sit.
yeah,
It's going to sit there and, you know, hopefully like a long-term T-bill.
right, right. Yeah, and then we can talk about the value of that dollar going up or down. So that's a whole nother story. Let's check in with Ahmed. Which exchanges are you using or not using? And then is there anything that you're looking for an exchange to do that you're not seeing? Like adding a debit card or the ability to do loans against your holdings, that kind of thing.
Hey, no, I haven't been exchanging at all. So I'm on Coinbase, XT, but I haven't actually used an exchange in years, actually. Um, I just don't know I need to do that market research that we were talking about last time and, be really confident about some of the signals. And I think that's one project I need to work on, a little coding project of uh, crypto bot, creating a crypto bot for certain
Hmm.
things because the API tokens are all like open now, and the AI it's pretty straightforward to make a bot um, to do um, commands against those API endpoints. I'm just not
Okay.
sure how open it is. I wonder if Coinbase has that, but
Well,
yeah,
I mean, there's been these bots around forever, like that EasyBot one that I mentioned. I think they just celebrated their 4-year anniversary. They obviously weren't the first. Um, and so, we've talked about that a few times in the past. It seems to me, I mean, to start from scratch, that seems like a tough haul because, you're learning all the little nuances where these guys that have been doing it for a while have already
um,
done all that, so.
What's the subscription cost of those like though? Those like is there any crypto exchange that has like a good bot and maybe something you can even extend because I know they do like market research for you and they, you know, do all these things for you, but this makes me a little suspicious. Like what if they're missing some part?
Uh, well, yeah, they could be looking at 10 data points or 1,000 or 10,000. And yeah, obviously that would be give you different results. That's a great point because KuCoin was an exchange that was a great exchange. Unfortunately, we can't use it, and they did have the bots built into the exchange. So just like the lending was built into Coinbase that Michael was talking about, the bots they had were built into the KuCoin, and these were primarily ones where you'd set up like the high and the low limits of a range that you wanted to trade in. Say a token was currently $3. Well, you could say, okay, I want to trade it between $2.50 and $3.50. And just as it moved up and down, you would jump in and it would buy and sell for you, that type of thing. Um, and there were some that were just simple like that, where others would add, well, the EasyBot, they don't give you that one. They call it easy, and people try to um, make it more complicated. We're literally it's set up, it's designed for people just to, pick which two coins to trade, like Bitcoin against USDT, and how much do you want to put in, and that's it. And it does all the rest. You can go in and fine tune it, but then you've got to learn all that. So I tell people if you just want something to run, that's a good one. Where there's other ones that you can go in and do all these little nuances and that kind of thing. But at least the main guts of it are set up. You don't have to start from scratch on that. And then again, how many data points are you going to look at? And that's a whole nother conversation for those bots. What was the other? There was, let me see if I can remember that other site. Well, Bitsgap. Yeah, let me share my screen here. Oh, and real quick, I was looking up that XT exchange that you had referenced. I had heard of that before, but I haven't thought of it for a long time. It looks like it's only for out of the US customers. At this point, I know some of them they had to change when, the KYC started increasing and all that. I don't know when you last use it, but just a heads up there. Hold on, let me share my screen. Okay, so this is Bitsgap. So you can automated crypto trading bots, AI insights, all this kind of stuff. But this is the first one that I used and did that thing where you could set up the channel and just trade between like 250 and 350, and then as it went up and down, it would make a trade. And then the other parameter that you would set, if you can see these yellow, red and green lines, these were just what did they call these things? Grid lines. So you could have a lot of grid lines, like maybe 20. So between your upper and lower range, there's 20 spots that it would trade at, or you could just have like 10, and it would, instead of trading at like every nickel, it would only trade at every dime. So like 250, 260, 270, that kind of thing, as opposed to 250, 255, 260, 265, that kind of thing. And then it would just do these, make these trades for you. It's AI assistant. I don't remember. Yeah, let analyze. Yeah, so what I would do especially with these free trials is go in here and play with these things for a little bit, and it might give you some ideas what you want to do with yours, or you might find that this thing is doing 80% of what you want, and you could launch it in 5 minutes instead of, code for 5 months.
Did you do this, Brett?
I
This
used it.
Bitsgap?
I used it for the trading bots, the spot trading bots, the grid bot. And we did a couple uh Zoom sessions on these probably 4 years ago talking about these. I was going to see if they have a screenshot.
Yeah, I don't remember this one being
Yeah,
out
and
there.
and so this is just the bot tool, and it does the API thing with these other exchanges. So like, Coinbase, there's KuCoin, Crypto.com. I'm sure Kraken's got to be in here. There's Kraken right in the middle. Yeah. Um, yeah, they've added a lot more. I remember this DCI bot was one of them, but I never did the futures. I didn't see a screenshot. How secure? Yeah. And so they talk about how secure it is. The nice thing here is Bitsgap never has control of your money. It's all in your Kraken account, your Coinbase account, or that kind of thing. So it never leaves your account. All they're doing is doing the trade. They can't withdraw, they can't deposit, anything like that. But I would take a look here, Ahmed, to just at least try it and see what they're talking about, and if nothing else, just get some ideas. The other cool thing that they had was once you're linked to an exchange, you could set up a trade, not like a bot, but you could say, for example, you bought a token at $5. You could say, okay, when it gets to $6, sell 20% of the holding. When it gets to $7, sell another 20%. And then if it gets to $10, sell the rest, type of thing. And you set that up at the time when you are purchasing it, or actually prior to you purchasing, because you're setting up the whole thing at the beginning, which I think is good because it takes the emotion out of it. So you just say, hey, I'm going to buy it for 5. Then I want to, take a little profit at 6, a little more profit at 7. And if it hits 10, basically a 2x return, I'm out altogether, take it and run type of deal. So I thought that was cool, too. And that's not a bot. I think they called it smart trading or something like that. You could also do, they call it, where you trade, you buy on one exchange and sell on another. So you take
Arbitrage.
arbitrage. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. You could do that in the different exchanges. So anyway, sidetracked a little bit on that, but I think that would give you some good insight before sitting down and programming your own or that kind of thing. Any questions on that, Ahmed? I can answer. I think that's mostly what I know about it. Oh, the pricing. You're asking
Yeah,
the
the pricing
pricing.
is probably the most
Yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah. So here, the basic one, we give you 3 grid bots, 10 and 8, so $23 a month. Unlimited manual trading, unlimited smart orders. That was the thing I was talking about. And then they have this backup test thing where you can take before you launch the trading, you can take your criteria and back test it over like 3 days, 7 days, and a month and see what would happen with your strategy, what that strategy would have done prior to that. If it had been running, for the previous week or whatever. So here you can do more bots, here's a ton of bots. That one that I use, the EasyBot, I started with their free plan. I'm still on their free plan. And so they just take a percentage of the profit. When each time a trade closes, they take a little piece of that. And then you can buy, but I'm limited to 2 bots. I know it was like $200 a year. You could get 5 bots, and then the percentage that they took was smaller. And then there's, I think, 2 more plans bigger than that type of thing. But I'm like, hey, especially for free, so I'm not paying a monthly fee or anything like that. It's like, hey, if you make me $1 and you want to, keep 10 cents of it, I'm cool with that, you know. And if I make $100 and you want to keep $10 or $1, whatever the fee is, that's cool because they're helping me make that money. If I wasn't using their tool, I wouldn't have made that. So that seems like a fair trade to me without having to, commit to whatever up front kind of thing. Cool. But look back on our YouTube page and and maybe search trading, and you'll see previous meetings and what we talked about there. Because we usually do like these trading or trading bots update like once a year as well.
Brad,
That goes, yeah.
uh, these bots that you utilize, do they just provide you with like a year end, for tax reporting purposes? Do they just report at the year end what your profit or loss was against your cost? Your I mean, because one of the reasons why I haven't decided to really do a lot of this type of stuff is because of the accounting of it. Do you have to report every trade, or at the end of the year, is it just like, okay, you made 1,000 or you lost 1,000, and then you just report that number? You don't have to put in every single trade in your tax, your tax return.
I'll start by just saying amen, brother. That's one of the downsides of the trading bots because they're doing so many trading. But in this case, looking at Bitsgap versus, trading with a Coinbase account, all of those trades happen on the Coinbase account. So that's where you would get the profit and loss info from, not from the bot. They're just think of it, it's like, well, that's a bad example. They're just the person saying buy or sell, buy or sell. They're not actually executing it and, tracking the funds like the exchange does. But they do, generate a lot more trades. But like we talk about those tools usually in March or April before tax season or the tax deadline, you would just plug in the tool and put in API to Coinbase, and it would just suck out all those transactions and figure out that profit and or loss. And they will generate that. I think it's a form 8832 for the tax purposes, and that's the same one that you report your stock trades on as well. Have you done that in the past on that one, Michael? Or do you just get the thing from your brokerage?
Well, for my brokerage, I just, I can put in every single trade. I do a lot of trades in my IRAs, but I have cash accounts that I trade. And so, it just, it's just so much easier if it just says, okay, this is what you made this year, or this is what you lost this year. And you can just put that in instead of having to put in every single trade, because, a bot's going to trade thousands of trades a year, right?
Right. And that's where these tools, I mean, maybe you have to, let me see if I can find one and I'll show. You'd be like, oh shit, Brad, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, these are obviously can be very useful and so forth. I'm just thinking about at the end of the year, when you have either a loss or a gain, um, how
Right.
easy that can be to report simply because it does trade a lot. Most of the people out there don't trade like someone like myself, in the market, for example. But bots,
Absolutely.
even if you're a complete novice at this, a bot will trade thousands, tens of thousands of times in a year. And even though everything is electronic, there you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
So this is actually form 8949. And so this is the same thing whether you're doing stocks or crypto or whatever. So this is one page, and I don't know what you have, 10 on a page, whatever number, and then it totals the page. So on this page, my total was negative $4.63. So I'll go to the next page, and I'm using the highest, what is it? The highest in, first out, or what I'm taking so so like on this Solana sale, it took the one that I purchased back in May and paired it against the one I sold in December. And so I lost 79 cents on that trade. And then here's the total for this page. So on this is for 25, and I think I had 4 files. So I think I had 172 pages, something like that. So I summarize, hold on, I'm on another screen that I can't see.
Did you just import that? You didn't do that by
No, I
hand?
don't do this by hand. This is what those tools do that we talk about. So I connect it to my Coinbase, my Kraken, my Exodus, my whatever wallets, everything. So it goes, oh, he bought it on crypto.com, but he sold it on Coinbase. And that's, and it matches it up. Or when I transfers from Coinbase to crypto.com, it goes, oh, it's a transfer, it's not a sale, or it's not a gift, or it's not a earning, that kind of thing. So that's super helpful when you're transferring, so it doesn't look like you're getting paid for something. Like, Michael, if you paid me $1,000 in crypto for cleaning your backyard out or whatever, that would be income. And so if somebody looked at it, they go, oh, Brad got this income. But no, if it was actually where I moved those funds from another exchange or a wallet, that's what's important, because I could say, no, it's not. I moved it from this wallet to this wallet, and it's just, I didn't sell it, I didn't buy it. It's just, I just moved the money from one account, so it's not a taxable event. So I summarize these pages into one big number, and then my tax person just puts like 2025 trades for the whole year on one of these lines, and um, then puts the total in this last column. And so the first year we did that, and I said, well, wait a minute, what if the IRS has questions on these? So she's like, I think she told me in her response when I asked her this question, she emailed and said, we'll do it this way, and if the IRS has any questions, they'll just ask you or send you a letter. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not waiting 3 years to get a question from the IRS about a trade that I did 3 years ago. That's, out of sight, out of mind. So what I do is I print out all these 175 pages. I send them to a place in Austin that, an IRS data collection location with a cover sheet saying, this is what I'm sending him for, this is what tax year. So all this information that I have, they have. So it's not like, hey, contact me for more, because I've given you everything I have. Other than if you want to run some tool on my accounts or my wallets or whatever, because you have a better tool in 2031 than we had in 2023, which I'm sure, obviously every year the tools get better, kind of thing. So that's the way I do it, because I just want to report everything the best that I know at that time. But it does take me a few minutes, but it's not super challenging. You could even do it, Michael.
Even me? Wow, thank
Even
you,
you.
Brad.
So, but yeah, it does, yeah, fortunately it does generate that form for you. The one trick that I figured out, though, let me share this again to show you, because it was like, oh yeah, this is not a big deal. But you see up here, where it says name shown on return and social security number. So I had 172 pages of that. So the first year I just went through and wrote that in, which was a lot. Then I said, wait a minute, I'm just going to run this through the printer and just print just my name and my social. So I do that now, and that takes me another 10 minutes or something like that. But, it's all about doing it in bulk. So anyway.
Well, if it's automatically uploading it, then that was my
Oh,
thought is
well,
is every transaction, can you just import it? I mean, do they allow that? And so they do. That
yeah,
makes it easier.
absolutely. Yeah. And you can actually use those tools throughout the year. You could go in and say, I don't know, like resync accounts or something like that. So it grabs, does the API with your wallets, your exchanges, whatever, and then it can give you a summary update. Like, okay, this is what you made so far. This is what the value of your Bitcoin is, even if it's over 3 wallets and 2 exchanges, that kind of thing. And you can even do that without having to pay for the service. It's generating that form. That's what they charge you for, because that's the part that they can do that nobody else can do, kind of thing. So.
Well, they are in business, so they
Yeah,
got
and
to
that's
make money.
fine. I mean, if we're doing this and we're making whatever money and we're paying them $100 or $49 or whatever it is and they charge per transaction. So if you're doing 10,000 transactions versus 150 transactions, you're going to pay more for the fee for that year, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. So cool. All right. I feel like we got sidetracked a little bit, but that was hopefully at least interesting and answered Ahmed's questions or maybe giving him something more to think about on those.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of other platforms that have like open APIs you can just totally um, write programs against, like especially for like research. It's useful for like research scientists and stuff like that. Quant Connect apparently is the best one. Then CryptoHopper.
CryptoHopper, we've talked about that a few times. Um, where you can that's the one where you can like copy trade other people. And so, if you have some active trader like Michael that turns on his connection to this thing or whatever, so every time he makes a trade, you make the same trade. Now, maybe Michael's trading $100,000 account and I'm trading $1,000 account, but the proportions are calculated or whatever. But yeah, Crypto Hopper was an interesting one too. So they're actually giving you the information via an API.
They actually have it's the best, apparently it's the best SaaS alternative where you don't really need to do external infrastructure. You just use their own infrastructure. So apparently there's a lot of settings and stuff in there where you can create the bots and set up the programs inside of it. But yeah, I think all of this is like the amount of time that one would spend developing these apps and stuff. Like one has to wonder, if the profits would be high enough. I'd be curious. I was just curious just to do it just for fun, because I'm trying to learn better programming and um, AI stuff. So I would, I'm not expecting to make a huge lot of money because at the end of the day, I feel like the profits end up canceling out the time that one invests, the many days and I
Right,
was watching this stuff.
right. Unless you can monetize it, it might not make a lot of sense other than the education knowledge that you're gaining and that kind of stuff. Did this list of features come up on this screen that I'm sharing? Can you guys
Yeah.
see where it says automatic trading, social trading? You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the copy bot was the one I was talking about there. Um, and then yeah, automatic trading. So yeah, if you just want to trade, just jump on and do one of these. Let me look at the DCI for what is dollar cost averaging. I thought it was a little more complicated than that. Okay.
I don't
Huh.
know what their pricing is.
Y- They've got a lot of different
Huh.
things.
And pricing.
similar. Yeah, looks like, oh, trade up to 15 for $24 a month.
24/7.
So that would be like, yeah, like 15 bots, 10 portfolio or manual bots, back testing, trading. Yeah, I was curious what you were talking about, if they were charging for those API calls.
Yeah, they are. There's only two event-based triggers. That's nothing. I guess, oh, two for 15 coins. See, like these kind of numeric limitations are what bothers me. Like, like if I just have my own, if I just create my own little web app on my computer, I can just have it hosted 24/7. My computer's on anyways, and I have unlimited event-based triggers.
But where are you getting those event calls or, API?
Yeah.
That's
I
the
guess
thing.
that's where the expensive part is because they're probably aggregating a lot of sources. It's a massive database that has taken them money to create and maintain, and then
And
each
test.
API call, yeah, ends up being expensive for them. So that's why they have that limitation of two event-based triggers on that massive database they have of with all the coins and all the news.
Right, right. But if they're pulling in 10,000 event-based trig, that much information a day, and they've got 10,000 customers, then they can monetize it, as opposed to you're like, well, I'm only going to ever trade these two coins. So, maybe you limit your queries to like Ethereum and Bitcoin or something. I don't know.
And a specific, a couple of reliable news sources rather than because they probably have a lot of different news sources that they're looking at.
Yeah, and then like it's like the is news are you going to get the news quick enough to be able to trade on, or by the time you get the news it's too late? That's the other challenge. Um, so or you just follow the whales when they start buying, you start buying or selling or whatever. So I don't know. But
I
I would
remember
definitely look
I,
at look at these tools that are out here.
I saw this one video like long time ago where the guy's, drawing graphs and, analyzing the trajectory of these smaller coins. And that's what I think of with these crypto bots, not really for the major ones. It's like, can I can I make a bunch of money off a coin that's, 0.0001 cent per coin and, wait for it to pick up, based on kind of the very small, but I feel like that's like throwing darts at a board still, you know.
Yeah.
Will crypto bots be used for that, or is crypto bots generally used for bigger coins?
They're generally limited to whatever the exchange supports. And but they have to do work for each one, so it seems like they start with the bigger ones and work their way down, type of thing. Now, let me just share my current strategy on what I'm doing with the EasyBot, because I used to trade like, I don't know, I went through when I first started with them, and it was KuCoin, and they supported like 32 coins. And so I went through and looked at the last month or the last 2 months and saw which were the most volatile, because I knew the volatility was going to help, with the trading. So I did that. And then there'd be on average two, three, four trades a day, and I would, make more in USDT. But then after going through all these, trading reports and all this stuff, and I didn't have that much money to throw at it, so it wasn't like I was supplementing an income or anything like that. It was kind of just more testing the theory, but it was like almost more work than it was worth. So I said, I don't want to do that. And then the other problem is when the market moved, say the whole market goes up 10% over 2 or 3 days. Well, 70% of my funds were sitting in USDT. And so I missed out on that move because my funds were in USDT, and maybe those other open positions that I had sold because they were in profit all of a sudden. So now I had all of my funds in USDT and the market moved up, uh, 10% in 3 days. So I kind of lost out on that move. Or if I would have just been holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever, I would have, maybe one of them went up 10%, one of them went up 8%, one went up 12%, whatever. So what I do now is EasyBot will let you trade against Bitcoin. So I have one bot that trades between Bitcoin and Solana, and one that trades between Bitcoin and XRP. So all three of those coins are ones that I want to hold long term. So what I'm doing, instead of just letting them sit there and kind of do nothing like Tim was saying, is as the market moves, if one happens to go up and the other one moves down or vice versa, and it can create a profitable trade, then that's what my trading bot is doing. But at all times, 100% of my funds are in Bitcoin, Solana, or XRP. And so I look at it as, if I don't make any profitable trades for a week, well, maybe the whole market went up 5%. There's not going to be an opportunity to get a profitable trade between the two because they all moved at once. But if one moves first, then that's where I can, get a profitable trade. So that's kind of what I'm doing with that, and change my strategy a little bit just for the heads up on that. But I'm sure, yeah. So probably find an exchange that supports the tokens you want to trade or coins, and then find a bot that supports that exchange and those specific tokens, because they're not going to necessarily support every single one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting strategy there. Seems like there's so many different places a bot can help with, even like um, trading between, because you're doing it at the market level. You're trading basically at the market when the market swings up or down. But you could also do it when there's a variation between the coins. Like, if kind of like how people that are currency
Oh,
uh,
Forex. Yeah.
yeah, forex traders, like, if there's a difference that's happening between Bitcoin and Ethereum, then try to capitalize on that uh
Right. Yeah, that's the only way
pattern.
it seems to work with my current setup, because I get, way fewer trades, which is fine with me. I'm not necessarily looking to get, you know, make a profit of, $400 every day or something like that. Um, but yeah. Yeah. So it's, yeah, a lot of different ways to attack it or play it. Okay. Any other features you guys are looking for in an exchange that you're not seeing? I can't think of, it's like almost everybody now is offering a debit card and then rewards, when you use that debit card or credit card, and giving you rewards, in Bitcoin or some other coin that you choose. And, in my mind, that's just kind of like an easy forced savings or automatic savings account that you don't have to worry about, as you're buying more. So as as the Bitcoin is lower right now, I'm like, hey, this is good, because now when I'm buying that tank of gas, I'm getting twice as much Bitcoin as I would have a year ago when the price was higher, kind of thing. So I kind of don't mind that, because I'm getting 4% of what I spend at the gas pump in Bitcoin, and if it takes twice as much Bitcoin now that it did a year ago, long term, I should be in better shape. So, Michael, did you ever get one of those debit cards? I think you were looking at those, weren't you?
Yeah, I have one through Coinbase,
Okay.
and I've made about $60 so far. I haven't made any large purchases to jack that up, but I think it's up to around $65 in Bitcoin. It's like other cards that you have that either give you points for gift cards or cash, but it's done in Bitcoin. And that's on the Coinbase app. That was that metal card that I showed you, which is kind of cool. It's the only one that I know of that's actually metal.
And I think that the Gemini might be like that. It's certain the Gemini one is certainly heavier than a standard card, but it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of fun. I mean, it's a black Amex card, right?
Okay.
So I don't think it's a true black Amex. If those are
Right,
like
right.
the $100,000 thing.
Limits right.
I'm not quite there.
Next year, next year.
Next year, that's my projected thing. Hey, Ahmed had talked about, doing some things on his computer and so forth. And I've been recently, for about the last 8 months or so, I've been using AI for my business and primarily in design capacities. But I was watching a couple things yesterday from people who actually develop Claude. And there's this thing called Claude Code, which other people may know more about. Um, and, I was just kind of wondering if today, we could develop our own APIs, as it were. And I don't know if it would be worth the time and effort because, $25 a month is $300 a year. It's no big deal. I don't know if the effort to develop your own would be worth it, than paying $300 a year for one of these, the Bitsgap or the EasyBot. But it was just interesting, if somebody was interested in doing that.
Yeah, it seems like unless we were going to try to monetize it, it's just easier to use that tool. It's kind of like, do you want to develop your own car or just go out and buy a Toyota hybrid, Toyota Camry hybrid, that they've developed over the last 40 years, to where it is now type of thing.
Yeah, but then um it's more like developing your own whole car business versus, making a bicycle. Because
Right, right.
because we're really just making a bicycle for our specific um coins. We're not trading every single one. The work that goes into building the CryptoHopper database that they provide to all their customers, that's way, way, way more work than we would be using to, say, work with Claude uh, to just okay, look at the, hook up to my account. Like the infrastructure is as simple as just using the available API calls to hook up to your own trading account, which that part is pretty simple. And then the second part of it is hooking up to specific news sites that have the API open, and you can just have it use that as a source of information to then um, put commands to your platform to make the calls whenever you to trade whenever you want. It's just for those specific coins, just for that limited set of news or whatever indicators, that information that you're basing it off of. But yeah, I think if you're dealing with a lot of different coins, it would be better just to use CryptoHopper.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And yeah, if you can do the APIs from what they have, and then you can do whatever you want with their information instead of trying to duplicate their database, like you said. So yeah, yeah. And maybe maybe you use something in crypto to figure out to buy and sell stocks or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I guess the sky's the limit. What you wanted to do it and how you wanted to use it. Hmm. Hmm.
Well, I think it comes down to, Brad, whether, like Ahmed was talking, maybe you have something specific that you want it to do, that is tuned to your particular likes or whatever. But I think for the average person, myself included, is that, you know, if you can walk into a situation for $25 or $100 a month, whatever the number is, and it does what you want it to do, you know, for me, that's what I'm looking for. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to know how to use the wheel to my advantage, right? Now, there may be some people who love to do the programming stuff and all that kind of thing. And that's great. That's a world that they can delve into and totally immerse themselves. But for the average person, if you can get in there, it's already all done behind the scenes. Unless, like you said, you're going to try to monetize it and become your own site. You're going to charge 25 bucks a month, but then there's so much more work behind that than you know.
Right, right, right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Any other thoughts on the exchanges? Um, it's, it's Coinbase, no, Coin Market Cap. Is there any new?
What was that? Brave search.
Oh, I use the Brave browser is my kind of default browser because it pays me, a little bit of crypto every month.
I
Um,
didn't even know about that. Gosh,
yeah.
Brad, you got all kinds of things going on there. You got a nickel here, $10 there, you know.
Yeah, it's more like a half a penny, it seems like now for the Brave, but it's yeah, it's just brave.com. It's actually a lighter, more privatized, more private version of Chrome. So it still uses Chrome extensions if you're used to those. You can use all those with Brave. And then up here I've got yeah, my rewards, my payout, kind of thing like that. And it's tied in with Uphold, so my payout for watching ads or whatever, not I don't want to say watching because I don't sit there and watch ads, but it throws something up every once in a while and I click close. Then it dumps it into my Uphold account each month. And it's in the BAT token, the BAT. It was basic attention token, which I remember that token coming out back in 17, 18, but nobody seemed to do anything with it until Brave did. Anyway, yeah, check that out, Michael. That might be of interest, earn a little bit extra here.
I'll take a peek.
But yeah, I don't know what this, are you guys familiar with this coin? Leo is a symbol, but just looking at the markets that it's in, I was curious to see which ones may pop up that I didn't recognize. This BVOX, I've never heard of that one. Here's that XT we were talking about before. Obviously, that's a pretty big one if it's number 4 for uh, trading volume for that one. OKX, can we use that one? I think some of these I've tried and then I go back later and they're not wow. Oh, does not offer exchange services in the US. Okay. Even though it has an office in the Silicon Valley. Okay. Um, never heard of this one. Yeah.
Hey, Brad, are they still coming up with thousands of new coins all the time? I haven't really paid attention to that in quite a while.
Neither have I. I mean, they used to be on this home page somewhere on Coin Market Cap, it would have how many coins. But geez, I mean, I think the last time I looked, it was like 2 million. Oh, here we go at the bottom left here. Cryptos 53.75 million. Like
Where are you seeing that at?
the very bottom
Oh,
left.
oh, yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, what's
Wow.
more interesting here, the exchanges, they're tracking 955 exchanges.
I remember
Um,
when I remember when there was like 20,000 coins, and
exactly.
I thought that was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And how many do we actually need? Now, there might be some kind of private ones or something, but
Oh,
yeah.
it has to be.
So we've
Again,
got,
that's why after, they had, 15, 20,000 coins, that's when I really stopped paying attention to a lot of anything that was really new because it was like, how am I supposed to know what's what with this, right? How am I going to make money on that? How am I going to utilize that to my benefit? So,
And every project that came out, there was another 20 or 30 projects and coins doing the same exact thing. And so how do you know which one, is going to quote unquote make it type of thing? Yeah.
I
So,
will say that I liked when you were at the original page, the coin market cap page, and it shows where uh, your fear greed thing is.
oh yeah.
You're like 34, which is definitely in the deep fear or in the fear phase. So uh, I think that's a pot. There you go. 32. See that's I mean that's not terrified fear, but that's pretty scared
But I
right
think
there.
we were down to, I saw that at 12 not that long ago.
Well, when we probably hit 58 or 57, that probably
Yeah.
got down
Yeah.
there, you know. And then of course, what did it do? It bounced up about 6 or 8,000 or something.
Right.
But like I said, I still want to get back into like the IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, but I don't see any movement. I won't actually start to reinvest in that until we probably get closer to 80. Because then but think about it. A month or two ago, we were down to 60 and then we bounced up to like what, 84, 85.
Yeah, that's a
And
good move.
but then it went right back down to, a new low, which was, I think, 56 or 57. And so, like I said, I need to see it at least 80 and then stay there for a few weeks before I get back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just looking at this one real quick, the top cryptocurrency spot exchanges. So, Binance has always been number one. Interesting that Coinbase is kind of number two. I don't know how active they are in outside of the US. I think of them as a US company, but maybe they're doing a lot more outside. Um, Crypto.com, I see them advertising like on a lot of sporting events. But yeah, Bybit is also doing it. Gate a little bit. I don't see KuCoin advertising too much. Um, and Upbit, I'm not familiar with them. I think that's a Korean one. If the fiat they support is this KRW, is that South Korean currency? Um, Not sure there. So Kraken, okay, that's decent. Bits. Oh yeah, Bitstamp. Robinhood bought them. Binance.us. I never use that one anymore. Gemini. Yeah. I was just kind of looking for some new ones here that I hadn't heard of. So good, good. All right. Any topics you guys think we should tackle in the future, next month or beyond? Anything you guys are thinking about or want to think about or find out more about?
There was one thing that I don't know if it's about a topic, Brad, but I was reading and the other day about um, people were talking about AI in terms of cracking Bitcoin and how far in the future that may or may not be. And some people were talking 3, 4 years. Other people said that's ridiculous, and it's probably closer to 2050 or 2075 or something like that. And I'm just saying that that may be an interesting, not necessarily a topic, but certainly something to chat at the next in-person meeting or something, because that might actually be a thing at some point down the road, depending upon how powerful these things get.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, worth a discussion for sure. Okay. Cool, cool. Anybody else ideas or thoughts of what you're looking at? Kind of seems like, there's not all the decentralized madness going on that kind of seemed to be taking place for a couple of years. I know that's still where the cutting edge stuff is, but just from an investment standpoint, maybe not as many new opportunities as there were a couple of years ago. I don't know. Okay. Very good. Well, let me stop my sharing here. We will stop the recording. Charles, great to have you with us. Hope you can join us again. Are you in the Fresno area?
I'm actually down in the San Francisco area.
San Francisco. Okay, because
Yeah.
we also meet together once a month in person. here in the Fresno area. And you're absolutely welcome to that if you're ever in town or drive into Yosemite and catch us on your way or something like that. But yeah,
Absolutely. When it involves pizza, say no more. That's good. But
there you go.
it's just a little
Okay.
further away. I'm always good on that.
Yeah, and it's that Me and Ed's, which has kind of been a Valley staple. Everybody
Mhm.
here kind of grew up on that pizza, so it might be, kind of different thing that maybe you haven't tried, but
I think we did have one here in the Bay Area a while back that I tried a couple times. It was good. Yeah.
okay. And I
You can buy it
recently
by the
just
slice. Yeah.
yeah, I discovered I think it's called Zachary's, the deep dish that
Oh man,
started
that's
around
it.
Oakland. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the bomb.
That is it. Yep. They've
Good
got one here
deal.
in Pleasanton. Well, I live in Pleasanton, up by Livermore. So,
That was the first one at that mall that's across the street from the movie theater. Is that I think
um,
it's like in
so
a
you're talking about the Dublin, the Regal movie theater mall, or
I don't where the Zachary's is. Because
oh, so yeah, the Zachary's in Pleasanton is on Main Street downtown. There's no movie theater there, but it's on Main Street, right in downtown.
okay,
They did open it a couple of years back. Yeah, good
got it.
location and great pizza.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So good. Okay, well, yeah. Hopefully to see you again. If there's, bring your questions. We've got, people of all interest levels, experience, that kind of thing. So,
Well, thank you
um,
for sharing
it,
your knowledge and taking time to collaborate and bring people together on this interesting topic.
yeah, no problem. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your weekend, and we will catch you in about a month on Zoom and actually next week in person at Me and Ed. So have a good rest of your day, guys. Take care.